Hello. I think that if all of us could wake up with a welcoming like that, I think we could probably solve our problems a lot quicker. That was amazing. Could you just be there in the morning with me every morning? Gosh, I'm so honored to be here. This is like kind of surreal. I'm honored, but the only difference really between me and you guys sitting in your plush seats are that I'm now like finally 6 feet tall. So I think that's pretty much the only difference. I know that I can learn so much from everybody that is in this room. What's so inspiring about Plywood is that you really get to be surrounded by so many people that want to do good, want to impact, want to learn. And when you're in a room with a lot of people that want to learn, that means you're going to share a lot of failures. And I love that because I think through failing is when we really get to see who we are. So I guess I'll share a little bit about my story. I grew up in a small town called Habersham, Georgia. Anybody know where that is? Good, like 3 people. Yes. I grew up in a small town. My parents manufactured furniture. They're actually here. They're right there. Everybody say hello, Mom and Dad. They should actually be here instead of me here. They taught me everything that I need to know. So they manufactured furniture for about 35 years. My grandma manufactured furniture for about 40 years. And then my grandpa was a baker. So I guess you could say that I had entrepreneurship in my blood. I learned a lot about grace. I learned a lot about grit. I learned a lot about working really hard. I learned about keeping promises. I learned a lot about not keeping promises. I smelled like sawdust up until I was 12 years old. I would travel with my dad when he would deliver furniture in a box truck. And I would watch lots of movies in the back on a VCR and a tiny TV that he rigged. But this, I'll show you, this is my parents. I love this photo of them. They've been together for about 42 years. They met and then got engaged within a month of knowing each other. It's pretty amazing. And then there's me. I'm just always throwing up that peace sign. So I grew up in a small town, didn't really know what it is that I wanted to do. I repeated 5th grade, and then I didn't go to college, and I was like, all right, sky's the limit. I had no clue what I'm going to do. And I decided to spread my wings and leave my parents' company and work for an organization here in Atlanta. I like to say that that was my college because I worked there for about 4.5 years. I basically went to them and I begged them. I said, I'll take out the trash. I'll do all the grunt work. If there's a job role, I'm totally qualified. And so they said, great, okay. And then they trusted me with data cards and spreadsheets, which no one should really trust me with data cards nor spreadsheets. And so I started working there. As I was working there, it was like 6 months in, and the owner of the company, we're at a table with the whole team, and he looks at me, points at me, and he goes, Eryn, what is it that you want to do? Sky's the limit. What's your aspiration? And, I think with school, being really terrible at it, and just always trying to move through, persevere, just keep go, I never really thought and stopped about what it was that I wanted to do. So I said to him, I felt like it was a trick question, and I said, I'm doing it, right? I'm doing it. I'm working here. He's like, no, what is it? What is it that you want to do? And I'm like, I have no clue. So I go home the next day, I do laundry, which happens once a year, and I'm thinking, why couldn't I answer that question? And so then I thought, I think what I want to do is music. I've always been doing music since I was 15, singing cover songs or openers for church or whatever it may be. I was like, I think I want to do that. But what's so scary when you start to admit what you truly want to do? Not only is it terrifying for yourself to be honest with yourself, it's also terrifying to tell another person because they could easily go, really? So I decided to call a producer up, and I was like, all right, if I'm doing this, I'm going to go all in. So I call a producer, and I'm like, hey, I have this idea. I want to create the best EP ever, but I want it to be only cover songs. And he's like, cover songs? Yeah, cover songs. The best, though, like the best version of the cover songs. And he's like, okay, well, if you want to work with me, we can't do cover songs. He's like, I think that you need to, like, explore what you have inside. And I'm like, No. See, I'm really strategic in my thinking of doing cover songs. Because if I do cover songs, people can choose whether or not they like it without having to listen to it. So I've already crossed that one barrier that I might face. The vulnerability of having to share exactly what is inside of you that you create is so terrifying. So terrifying. And I decided, okay, fine. I will do an EP of original stuff. And so I go in the studio for the first time, and I am terrified because the only thing I've ever written is poems that my 10th grade teacher read, and it was like about heartbreak, and I was like in 10th grade and never really experienced heartbreak. But I mean, I was such an emo kid, but that was like all that she got to experience and the experience that I had. So I go in there, and I can't tell you how vulnerable it is, and I think all of us can relate to this. It is so vulnerable to be on one side of a wall with a person that is still for you, wants you to do good, wants you to create something amazing, and you still have to share what's inside. When you sing into a microphone, it is everything that you are made of. If you create, if you write, if you lead, it's everything that you are made of. And so I'm on the other side of the wall, and I'm singing, and I'm belting it out. And I remember this one time I was like power stance, just singing. I sang the whole song, first take, and he's like, that was awesome energy. You were off pitch the whole song. And so I produced I had my first EP. I was 22 when I did that. And I have an Affliction t-shirt on in that photo that I probably bought at Buckle. Place to go. And so I started creating music. I started singing and playing and writing and doing all these things. I started licensing my music to television shows, commercials. I helped Chloe and Lamar have like a moment together on the Kardashians. I got to be a part of Real World and Road Rules, and I thought, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do. And mind you, I'm still working my full-time job and just doing this by night, because iTunes does not pay your bills at all, at least for me. So I start doing this, and then I had a music video that went viral. We released the first iPad 2 music video ever within 24 hours of the iPad 2 being released. And it was really exhilarating to create it. It was literally like we thought about the idea a day before to do it. And so then we do it, and then I watch it go from like 5,000, 10,000, 30,000, 40,000 views to 100,000 views, and I'm seeing all these countries pick it up that are wanting to share the technology of an iPad 2 and the video capability. And I was honored because in the process of that, I gained more fans, and I didn't actually want to call them fans because I saw them as family, as people, as community that saw bits of my heart in a song. And so I decided I wanted to create a product, something that they could identify with. I wanted to create something that I could gift them. The people that believe in me, I wanted to gift them something. I think that's why we're all here. We're trying to figure out what we can do for the people that we serve. And so I decided to put my home address on the internet, which is like so safe. And if my dad at the time like really loved computers, I think that he would have probably figured out how to hack in there and delete my address. And I put my home address, really smart when your video goes viral also. And I said, mail me your personal shirt, and I will spray paint that you are worth loving, and I'll mail it back to you for free. And I thought I would receive like 5 or 6 or 7 shirts, and they would probably be mostly my mom or a friend. And they were people from all over the world. And it was people telling me why they felt unworthy of love, whether it was an eating disorder or self-harm or depression or anxiety or a breakup or divorce or a mental illness. It was people that are carrying this this weight of the world, this weight of life that we experience. And they're saying, I just want somebody to say, I'm worthy of love. And so we're now a lifestyle company, and we promote self-worth and self-love, and we use apparel as just that entry point to talk about the struggles, because no one talks about it. See, I learned that it's common to feel unworthy of love, but uncommon to talk about it. If we talk about it, it's scary, it's messy. There's an opportunity for somebody to judge, to shame, to be a part of shame we already are carrying. I learned that quickly, but then what I also learned that when Jeff came to me and he said, hey, I want you to talk about community. And I thought, wow, that's such a broad statement. I mean, we could talk about, like, what do you talk about? Like, online community, personal community, business community, work community. There's so many communities. And then I got really confused because I'm like, I don't even know what community is because there's so many different types of communities that we can be in. But then I realized, at the end of the day, no matter your interest, it's you wanting to see another person seeing you, regardless of what layer you're involved in. And that's what I saw was So Worth Loving. I saw one raw story being shared with another raw story, and them saying, me too, I've gone through that. I'm going through that. There's a light at the end of this dark tunnel that you might be in. And so I learned that most of us struggle with vulnerability because someone else has used it against us. I learned that watching stories and then experiencing it within myself, someone has used it against me, someone has used it against you. And so you hide. You hide because you don't want to give another person that opportunity. But by hiding, we actually don't even get to really, truly experience life because we're so scared of what someone else might think. To me, community is empathy. It's being able to sit across from another person and go, I don't have all the answers. I don't need to have all the answers. But I'm going to find something within myself to be able to identify with how you feel. Because I know how you feels really lonely. Seeing and being seen. Community is saying, I see you. And you're able to go, I see you. Community to me is not for the convenient seekers. Not at all. I call them rubberneckers. So, when you're like driving a car and you're like, you see a bad accident, and you're like, oh, you slow down just enough because you're like, oh, I hope they're okay. And then you're like, community is not for the convenient seekers. Community is not for the ones that just want to be entertained. Community is for people that want to roll up their sleeves and dive into the mess. To be vulnerable. Community is storm ready. I think about a beautiful tree that's 100 years old, sitting on a hill, and it's got deep roots in the ground. And the roots are an example of the people in your life that hold you strong in your foundation. So no matter the storm that comes, no matter how heavy that storm is, no matter how much that tree bends, those roots are reminding you that you're qualified, you're not your circumstance, you're gonna make it through. You might lose a few branches, you might get struck by lightning, but you still got a foundation. And I think that in order to lead people, to lead other people, we have to have our own strong, rooted foundation of people that want to do life with us and see all the messy parts of us. Well, maybe. I can keep talking about this, though. Let's see. Oh. Can someone help me? All right. Well, I also see community as it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about us. us collectively being present. I think, what if we could be the leaders that create environments to where people feel seen, heard, less scary to say, I really screwed up. I really screwed up. I have failed miserably. And to someone go, I'm not scared at all. I don't know how we're going to make it through, but I'm not scared. I'm not scared of you. I'm not scared of you being human. I'm not scared of your flaws. I'm just going to be rooted with you. What if community was being able to say, I've never experienced this circumstance, and I can still feel what you feel. And so my challenge to you today is to think about, who in your life do you have that are your roots? Who do you have in your life that is your foundation? Who do you need to prune from your life that isn't truly for you in your foundation? Because I can tell you, when stuff happens in your life, you're going to need those roots. And then when you want to celebrate, who is the friend that goes, where are we going? Where are we going to go get a drink? Where are we going to go celebrate? Who are those people? I can tell you that it's not quantity. It's not quantity of people. It is the quality that you have surrounding you. It's people that have a deep capacity to truly do life with you. I can tell you, I can share a little bit. I thought in my mind as a young entrepreneur, I was just like grabbing anything that I could because it felt so lonely to pursue something. I was grabbing anything that I could that would just see me. That's what I thought community was, just see me. And then I realized it's about serving. It's about being present. And so as I went through that, I went through some hardship, some heartbreak. Some of the hardest things that I've gone through, I really messed up in life. And then I got to see who was scared of me and who wasn't scared. And that is the most beautiful thing, when we can go, I'm not scared. I'm not scared. When we can sit in someone else's story and not be threatened that it's going to impact our own story. That is community. Thank you.
Come here. I'll ask you a question. So Eryn, I've literally been physically next to you in the office at times. And I think sometimes when people get on a stage like this and there's a fancy like word behind them and a big screen, and then they look at your Instagram and they see that it's pretty and they see the quantity of followers, and it's like, you must have it easy, right? I think that's sometimes what happens in these communities. They see people and there's what they see online or what they see on a stage, but it's hard to bring something into existence, isn't it?
Yeah.
How has community played a role in this process for you?
I think what I realized, I thought community had to be surrounded by entrepreneurship and we all had to have that same common thread. And then I learned quickly, when life got really hard, which it can for all of us, I didn't need people that had a certain caliber of the level of life that they're in. I needed just people to be present. And I think we get that mixed up in thinking that because it's new to us and pursuing something, that's who we should only surround ourselves with. At least I made that mistake. And I just realized it was just trustworthy people. And so through this process with So Worth Loving even, like, it's nice to just talk to a friend or a mentor and be like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. I'll tell you, I have fired myself and I have quit many times. And then I rehired myself.
I love it.
So, yeah.
So if someone's going through that, they're in the midst of a project, it's not getting accolades. It's not like, going bonkers on the internet right now. What would you say to them?
I would say that if you're passionate about it and you believe in it and you've seen the impact, I think that being tenacious is the only thing you can do is move forward. I watched my parents go through ups and downs, especially when the economy crashed and they own a furniture company. How many people need furniture when the economy crashes? And I watched them continue to move forward because they saw their furniture is getting to create moments for families. And they had 70 employees that they loved and they valued. And they saw the impact, and they just had to see this as a moment of persevering. And I also believe within community, when we can be fully present with somebody, fully present, it creates a better future that we could ever have with them.
Love it. Thank you so much for sharing your
Thank
story this
you.
morning. It's great.